Hey, Polly, nice to meet you. I'm so happy to have you here. Can you start with introducing yourself and telling us a little bit more about yourself?
Well, my name is Polly White, and I'm the co-owner, co-founder of GreatAmericanEclipse.com. And I've been chasing solar eclipses since 2009. My first one was in China or off the coast of China in
Wow.
2009. And I've just been enthusiastic about solar eclipses, both the natural beauty and the science since then. And we've developed a whole business around my husband's cartographic skills and my business skills and our shared passion for astronomy and eclipses.
That's incredible. So, do you do this full time?
I do the business full time, and yes, we travel whenever there is a solar eclipse around the world. We miss one or two, but most of them we make a point of getting to no matter what.
Yeah.
So we work like crazy, and then we travel, and we work like crazy, and then we travel.
That's
Keep on
fantastic.
keeping on.
So, you saw your first one in 2009. How did you get into that whole eclipse chasing sort of thing?
Well, I've always been a little bit of an astronomy nerd. I always like looking at the night sky and just appreciating the beauty of night sky astronomy. But I had not seen a total solar eclipse until 2009. And because that by definition is a daytime event. And it was just absolutely incredible. And I was with a whole bunch of people who were also just as excited about it as we were, and it was just really infectious. It was just that we have a joke that the minute any solar eclipse is over, the first thing people say is, "When's the next one?"
Yeah.
And that was pretty much us too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This community, I've learned, is very rich in passion and excitement about eclipses and astronomy in general. Did you always have that passion as a kid too?
Pretty much. In terms of astronomy, yeah. I was always the kid that wanted to go, when there was a star party and go look through somebody's telescope and see Saturn, that kind of thing. I mean, because it's cool. It's
Yes.
so pretty. It's so beautiful.
For a kid,
And
let's say a 10-year-old who maybe hasn't experienced one, what is so fascinating about the experience itself?
um at least when I'll just speak for myself, when
Yeah.
I was a kid, it made me realize that even though I was beginning to understand how big the world is, how big Earth is, it's like so big. But then when you look through a telescope and you see Saturn or something, or even the moon, you realize that actually the Earth is really small.
Yeah.
And our solar system is so enormous and it's so beautiful. And then the next step beyond that is you realize our whole solar system is really tiny.
Yeah.
That our sun is one of 200 billion stars in our galaxy that we
Wow.
know of.
Wow.
And there's 200 billion galaxies out there, we
Yeah.
think, that we
Yeah.
know of. So those kind of numbers are just, it's really hard, especially as a kid, to like get your head around how big this universe is.
Sure.
When we think our planet Earth is big, our planet Earth is just a teeny weeny little speck of dust.
Right.
It's
Right.
great. I love that. I think it's really cool.
So true. And I think that unknown is what makes it so fascinating to study and to explore is, there's so much
Yeah.
that we don't know.
Yeah. And there's so much to see that, like, every time you look up at the night sky, it's a little different. You see something new. And like, you don't need a telescope. In fact, a telescope often isn't the best tool. A pair of binoculars is great. You'll see so much with a pair of binoculars. And even if you've got like lights around, like if you live in a city or whatever,
Yeah.
if you've got binoculars, you'll be able to see a lot more than you could with the naked eye. And if you can get out to some place where it's pretty dark and you try out binoculars, it's amazing.
Wow.
There's
So you're
so
talking
many stars.
you're talking about just exploring the sky in general, right? Not
Yeah,
about specifically solar eclipses.
right.
Want to make
Yeah.
sure kids have the proper.
Night sky,
Yeah.
looking at stuff in the night sky, that a pair of binoculars is perfect for night sky, that you
Wow.
don't really need a telescope.
That's a great tip. That's a great tip because everyone always uses the telescope, right? Yeah.
Right. And then telescope's cool,
Oh, sure.
but
Yeah.
I if you don't have access to a telescope, it's often a lot easier to get your hands on a pair of binoculars.
Yes. Yes. If you were teaching elementary students about eclipses, specifically total solar eclipses, what is the
Uh-huh.
most important thing you would want them to understand?
Well, yeah, I probably have to go to the eye safety thing first. There's
Yeah.
a lot of other really wonderful things, but the eye safety thing first is that you got to have either solar eclipse glasses or like those cool little card viewers that have the solar filter film in
Yes.
them, and you
Yeah.
just hold it and look up.
Yeah.
So anytime during the partial phases where you want to look at it because you can see the moon moving in front of the sun, like it takes a little bite out of it and then it takes a bigger bite and it keeps moving and it keeps moving.
Yeah.
All that part really cool to watch, but you
Yeah.
gotta have the glasses or the solar filter to look through to be able to do that, because if
Yes.
you looked at it without that, it will hurt your eyes. Like,
Yes.
this isn't just old wives tales. That's true. It really
Yeah.
will hurt your eyes if you don't use the glasses. So you gotta use the glasses. Then you gotta remember, when it's totality, when the moon completely and totally covers the sun, then the corona pops out and you get to see the corona of the sun. That is the coolest thing. I mean, you'll go nuts and everybody starts screaming and it's so cool. But at that point, you
Yeah.
take the glasses off. You
Wow.
have to have the glasses off for totality,
Okay.
because otherwise you won't be able to see the corona and your eyes are safe, because
Right.
the moon is covering up the whole disk of the sun, and the disk of the sun is what's so bright that it hurts your eyes. So
Yes.
the moon is in the way, it's shielding you, and that's how you're standing in the shadow of the moon. When that
Wow.
happens during totality, you are actually, it's the only time a person can actually stand in the shadow of the moon. So that's like
Wow.
super cool.
That
But
is
then the
super cool.
minute the second the moon starts to move back out and the bright light starts to come back,
Yeah.
you got to put the glasses back on.
Got
And
it.
then you can watch the moon move away and go back off the other side. And it's really cool.
That sounds like an incredible experience and
It
probably one
is.
that's most enjoyed with a bunch of people, right?
Yeah, well, we have an expression. There are people who like what we call a we clips, with lots of us, lots of people together and having a big party and a big celebration, and and just because it's wonderful energy, right?
Yeah.
And I am one of those people. I like a we clips, but
Yeah.
there are people who like a me clips, and a me clip is when somebody goes to see a solar eclipse and they want to kind of like hang out by themselves for a minute or for the whole time.
Yeah.
Some people really want to be alone, and so we got to respect those folks too. So you
Yeah.
can think about it both ways.
Yeah.
So kids and their families can think about if they want to have it, if they want to do it just by themselves or just with a couple of people, or if they want to go join a big group.
Yeah. Yep, so true, so true. My husband and I, we are in Tennessee, and there's just a tiny sliver, a corner of Tennessee that is experiencing totality. And he looked up that specific area or a town near there, and he said, "Oh, it's perfect. There's only 250 people there. It's nice and isolated." So he would be an eclipse viewer.
He would be a me clips person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, we do have a web page on our website specifically dedicated to Tennessee. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's there
Okay.
on greatamericaneclipse.com.
Yes.
And you can go to the 2023 page for the annular eclipse, which is happening in like 9 days.
Yes.
Or you can go to, there's the 2024 tab. And under both of those, there's a page dedicated to each and every state that the path goes over.
Yes.
So kids can look at their own state and see the map for their own state.
Yes. And for any student that is listening, we will provide that link to your teacher and they can help you get there and view all those incredible resources that they have on the site for each state.
Yeah, there's videos too, like animation videos that show how the shadow of the moon is going to go across their state.
Yes, great models for teachers and students to use. I love it. If a person lives in the US the entire time, about how many total solar eclipses might they experience in their lifetime?
Well, if they're willing to travel like within the US,
Okay.
I mean, you could see as many as like 4 or 5 between the years of like 2017 to 2045.
Yeah.
There's one in 2017. There's the annular one now in 2023. There's a total in 2024.
Yes.
There's one in 2044 and one in 2045. Those go way up in the northern part of the United States.
Yes.
But I guess somebody in theory could see 5 if they were willing to travel within the US, and more than that if they're willing or able to travel outside of the US. Because a solar eclipse happens approximately once every 12 to 18 months around the world. It varies based on the orbits of the Earth and the Moon around the sun. And it gets a little complicated in the math and physics, but it's not that hard. People have done the math and have done the calculations, so we know exactly when and where they're going to happen.
Yes.
Great.
How many total solar eclipses have you viewed in your lifetime? You might have said that and I don't remember. And which one was your favorite one?
Oh, I've seen 7 totals.
Okay.
2 annulars, and yeah. But my favorite one, I think a little while ago, I would have said it was in Gabon in West Africa. And I got to see a total solar eclipse where there were elephants in the wild. And I thought that was like, whoa. But just last April, I saw one off the western coast of Australia. And the solar corona for that one was so beautiful. It was like a giant flower in the sky.
Wow.
It was so beautiful that I think so there's sort of 2 answers in terms of the environment and the place I ever saw an eclipse.
Yeah.
Gabon was the neatest, but in terms of the actual corona of the sun, the one last April was absolutely amazing. And there's a reason for that. If I can have like 30 seconds on this topic.
Please. Yeah.
The sun goes through phases. It's called solar minimum to solar maximum, and it's about like 11 years between cycles. And our sun is at solar maximum right now, which means it's busy and it's energetic and it's putting out all of these like coronal mass ejections and prominences, and there's sunspots and all this cool stuff. And that makes the sun busier and the corona to be bigger and more active. And so during an eclipse, when we can actually see the corona, we see that there's a lot more going on than there was, say, 11 years ago, when the corona was sort of smaller and not so dynamic.
So the sun is in that dynamic phase now.
Yeah, so the corona in 2024 is going to be awesome.
Wow. So that's something very special about the April 8th eclipse.
Yeah.
Okay.
And here's something else. I mean, it's a long shot, but maybe we'll be able to see a comet during totality. It's going to get
Wow.
so dark, and there's going to be a comet, but it's going to be a little ways away from the sun
Yep.
and moon as they're lined up.
Yeah.
And if the comet fizzles out, we probably won't be able to see it. But
Yeah.
if it gets, and we just don't know, but maybe we get to see a comet. And that would
That's
just be,
cool.
I'd be so excited. That would be
Of
so cool.
course. Yeah, that's exciting. The beauty of the unknown, right? You just don't know
Right.
what's going to
Maybe.
happen. I
But
love
there will be one out there. We know by the orbit of the comet that
that.
it
Okay.
will be out there, but whether we'll be able to see it during totality, just don't know.
That's great. So I did not know about the corona being, very energetic for the
Yeah.
April 20. That's so cool. What was something
Solar maximum is the term you can look up.
solar maximum?
Solar maximum. Yeah.
Great. What was something that was special about the 2017 eclipse that happened a few years ago?
I think what was really special about that, and I'm going to connect to the next one with
Yeah.
that, was how many people got to see it. There were a lot of people living, I think it was like 13 million people that were living in the path, already living inside the path of totality for
Yes.
that one. But so many people traveled to go see it that it was one, at the time, it was the most widely viewed astronomical event in American history.
That is
This
cool.
one
Yeah.
in April 8th of 2024, like
Yes.
6 months from now,
Yeah.
is we have something like 32 million people that
Yeah.
already live inside the path of totality. That's huge.
Yes.
And more people know about eclipses since 2017,
Yeah.
and since that this annular coming up in a few days.
Yes.
A lot of people are going to travel. A lot of these communities inside the path of totality are going to have a lot of tourists.
Yes.
So it's probably, in fact, we know it's going to break records for the most widely viewed astronomical event in American history. And that, to me, is really great.
Absolutely. And I love that the 2017 eclipse, I felt like it built this excitement or created this excitement for not just students, but for everyone, just of how cool this stuff is. And like you said, that so many people were in the path of totality. And with the April 2024 eclipse, even more people are going to be in that path. So that is cool. Do you think all elementary students should get the day off from school when a total solar eclipse occurs?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I do. I think what would be really cool is honestly some kind of a hybrid. If I had my way, I think schools are a perfect place to
Yeah.
have a big event. Bring families, bring
Yeah.
food trucks, bring, do things, have a big event around it.
Yeah.
But I think classes, no. Just
Okay.
do the eclipse, talk about that,
Yeah.
enjoy that with your community and with your families and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. But if a school can't host an event, absolutely, I think they should allow the kids the day off to go experience it however they want with their friends and families.
I love that. Yes. Speaking of eclipse planning, what is involved in planning for such an event for a town, a city? And is there anything that you do to prepare yourself for when a total solar eclipse occurs?
Okay, so communities inside the path of totality that are expecting visitors,
Yes.
travelers, tourists, that they want to think about everything. That means police, fire, porta potties, grocery stores need to stock up, gas stations need to be topped off, all of that kind of stuff. The tourism departments need to be on it. The retail stores, everything that hotels,
Yeah.
but in most cases, we hear that they are in fact on it. They're preparing themselves.
Yeah.
And if you are a family that is traveling to go see the eclipse, I would suggest things like being as self-sufficient as you can,
Right.
in terms of having food, water, have your campsite or your hotel or whatever, everything laid out.
Okay.
Be prepared for traffic. The total solar eclipse is on a Monday. So we have a hashtag out there that says take Tuesday too, because there are going to be huge traffic jams right
Yes.
after the eclipse.
Yeah.
And we would like people to sort of pace themselves in their exits.
Yep.
It would be good if people would not all get in their cars the instant that the eclipse is over.
No
That'd be
kidding.
good.
Yes. And in my research, I learned that, the prepping for, say, the April 2024 eclipse started years ago,
Yeah.
that towns and especially major cities have been prepping for years, that there's actual teams of people
Yeah.
planning. So it's incredible, but it makes sense. They're going to be flooding the hotels, the restaurants, the sewage system,
Yep.
all those things have to be considered. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It
Yeah.
is, but
Yeah. We have a
exciting.
joke. There was a joke that was going around the internet, but was quite true. People who are astrophysicists and leading giant events, but they're astronomers and astrophysicists and stuff,
Yeah.
and they spend a lot of time thinking about porta potties.
Yeah. Yes, it's true though. It's true. But what great excitement that you can bring to that is being brought to your city, your town, and a nice tourist boost too, right? There's going to be a lot more people there. Do you have any suggestions or advice for taking photos during a total solar eclipse?
Yes, you need a filter for your
Okay.
camera. It's just like your eyes. If you're gonna photograph the partial phases, you need a filter on your
Okay.
camera or your cell phone camera. And though you can buy those on our website, of course,
Okay.
but they're not too expensive and they're easy to use.
Okay.
And that'll protect the optics for that. During totality,
Okay.
you need a good zoom lens, and
Okay.
you take filters off during totality, just like you take your glasses off of your eyes.
Yep.
During totality, you take the filters off of the camera, and the focus, you want to focus essentially on the edge of where the moon and the sun are.
Okay.
If you put your focus there, and then there are other people who are much better at this than I am and have
Yeah.
websites and tips and all that.
Yeah.
But I do have another piece of advice that if this is somebody's first total solar eclipse,
Okay.
honestly, don't fool with taking pictures. Just
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
The pros are out there and taking pictures, and they're
Yes.
going to share their pictures all over the internet and social media. You
Yeah.
will be able to have pictures of totality and the partials and all of that to use
Yeah.
for personal use. But if you're a photographer and this is really what you want to do,
Yeah.
absolutely go ahead.
Yeah.
But for first time and kids, that for first time eclipse participants, I encourage them just to enjoy it because it goes so quickly.
Yeah.
Even though it may last several minutes, it's still like it goes by like in an instant, and you look at and you're like, wait, it's over?
Yeah.
Wait. So if you
Exactly.
spend a lot of time fooling with your camera, you're likely to regret
Yes.
that.
Holly, I couldn't agree more because if I'm a 10-year-old right now, I probably don't remember if I did experience the 2017 eclipse. And so this could be my first, total solar eclipse. We want you guys to enjoy it, put your cameras down and really just soak it all in and what happens to your environment, the sounds that you hear, all of those things, just really experience that moment in its natural state, right?
Yeah, and I would also mention that during totality, if you look all the way around,
Yeah.
there's a 360-degree sunset. That's what it
Wow.
looks like, because you're standing inside the shadow of the moon. So there's
Okay.
light outside of the shadow.
Ah,
And it's really neat looking. It's
yeah,
quite beautiful.
I'm
I
sure.
mean, I definitely recommend just staring at the corona of the sun, because the corona is what it's all about. But
Yeah.
take a second or two to really look all the way around. And yeah, you're absolutely right about listen to the birds, because the birds think it's bedtime and they're gonna go night night,
Yeah.
you know?
Yes, yes. Crickets come out. Have you heard crickets?
Uh-huh.
Yep, that's
Yep.
incredible. Yeah, so
Sometimes,
cool.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Because it depends on how dark it gets where you are, how close you are to the center, and how many clouds are around and all that. The
sure.
degrees of darkness can vary depending on location and cloud cover and stuff. But yeah, the animals usually have a reaction.
I love it. I love it. How do you choose a location for where you view an eclipse?
Me personally,
Yes,
us
you personally.
personally,
Yes.
well, we really prioritize it. We care very much about not getting clouded out. In
Yes.
fact, my husband Mike, we've never been clouded out, ever.
Wow.
My
Okay.
husband Michael, who does all the maps on our website, he's seen 11 total solar eclipses in his life,
Wow.
and he's never been clouded out.
That's
So yeah, we
great.
take this question very seriously. And there's a
Yeah.
website called eclipsophile.com that we
Okay.
consult for weather and climate.
Yeah.
And then we choose a place that has the highest likelihood of clear skies
Okay.
from the beginning, that has the best track record for clear skies.
Okay.
And then we think about being near like road networks. So if there are clouds, can we get in the car and get somewhere where
Good
it's
point.
clear?
Okay.
Um,
So you have a backup.
so yeah, being
Okay.
able to be mobile.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be
Yeah.
mobile. And so that means having food and water and snacks and everything, and the cameras and the tripods and everything ready to roll if we need to.
Yep. You are
And we
not going to
consult
miss
the
this. Yeah.
weather. We get a little obsessive about the weather forecasts a few days in advance. We check
Okay.
them several times a day.
Okay.
But sometimes you just know it's going to be clear skies and it's great. We don't have to worry about it. But if you have a risk of clouds, then you want to pay attention to that if you really care about seeing it.
Sure. That
And we
site that you
do.
just
And
mentioned, is that a site that is specific to weather and tracking the weather and the days leading?
uh-huh,
Okay. So I'll get that link
that
from you
website
too.
is
Or
it's
go ahead.
eclipseophile.com.
Okay, perfect. Thank
But
you.
there's no E in there. But yeah, I'll send you the link.
Thank you. So where are you going to be when you watch the April 8th eclipse?
Fredericksburg, Texas.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
right near the center line. That's another thing to consider is the closer you are to the center line of the
Yeah.
path of totality, the longer duration of eclipse you get. The closer you are outside to the limit lines, the
Yep.
edges of the path of totality, the
Yep.
shorter duration you have.
Yep.
So we try to be close to the center line.
Of course. How
And
long will totality be for you?
oh, that is an excellent question. 4 minutes and some odd seconds. I
Wow.
have the number of seconds right off the top of my head.
No,
A
no,
little
no,
over
that's
4 minutes.
good. So it's
Yeah,
pretty long. And 2017 wasn't as long, right? Even in the center
that's
line?
correct. Yeah, it
Okay.
was a little over a couple of minutes. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So so basically double. That's great. That's a good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
And
it is. Yeah.
yeah, my last question is not applicable to everyone, but I have to ask because I noticed that both of us are glasses wearers. Talk to
Yeah.
me about wearing the Eclipse glasses when you already have glasses. Do you put them over your glasses? Do you take them
Yes.
off? You can.
Well, my glasses are for distance.
Okay.
So I want my glasses
Me
on.
too. I want mine too.
And so yes, I put the Eclipse glasses on over my regular glasses.
Okay.
But then during totality, I actually use binoculars. And that means no filters and
Yep.
binoculars so I can zoom in on the corona. But again, kids who are going to do this need adult supervision, because you
Yes.
absolutely cannot do binoculars with
Yeah.
no filters during the partial phases. That is a
Yes.
guaranteed eye problem. So you have to be super careful.
Yeah.
Filters on during all the partial phases, no filters during totality.
Yep.
The minute this second totality is over, filters back on.
Gone.
That means for binoculars, for regular eyes, for cameras, everything.
Yeah.
So be super careful.
Yeah, and for students watching, we want you to be safe. So definitely have some sort of adult with you to help and supervise during the eclipse.
Yeah, because your eyes are really important.
They are so precious, and yeah, we want to keep them safe. Yes. Holly, this was fantastic. Is there anything else you would like to add?
I think honestly, if there are kids and families out there who are thinking that they don't want to travel to see it, or
Yep.
that being in like 90% is good enough, it's
Yep.
not.
Okay.
Go. You won't regret it.
Yeah.
Take the drive, take the family trip, do it. Go see it. This is such a special opportunity, and it's such an amazing experience. It's so beautiful, and essentially it
Yeah.
costs nothing. If you do have to travel, yes, there's costs there, but
Right.
the experience itself, maybe it costs you a couple of bucks for the Eclipse glasses, but
Yep.
this is such an amazing experience that doesn't cost anything, and you'll remember it for the rest of your life. So if there's kids out there whose parents are saying, nah, I'm not going to bother, it's too far, we're busy, or
Yeah.
it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
I want you kids to get out there and say, no, we want to go, we want to see it, because
Yes.
you won't regret it. I
Yes.
promise you won't regret it.
I have not personally experienced one myself, but everyone that I talk to, there is such an infectious enthusiasm for it, and they just have nothing but positive things to say. So, yes,
Right?
if you can view it, view it. You will not regret it.
Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Polly. It was so much fun. We appreciate you, and we can't wait to hear about you and your experience in April after the eclipse.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Of course. Take care. Bye.
Okay. Bye.